Opening weekend for the 2024 International GT Open in Portimao continues with race number 2. After Gatsby's success yesterday, they will have to take a handicap in this race, and Anthony Bartone starting a rather lowly 16th. 34 cars from 6 manufacturers join us once again at the Autodromo Internazionale de Algarve. Fastest of all of them in qualifying this morning was Dominic Baumann's number 20 SBS Automotive Performance Mercedes, ahead of series debutants Car Collection Motorsport. Thanks to Nico Menzel at the helm of the number 15 Porsche. Chris Stevens and George Morgan joining you for the next 60 minutes of GT3 racing. George, very different grid compared to what we had yesterday.
Yeah, very different in terms of the complexion. I think no surprises. I think to see the pros back to their brilliant best. Obviously, no necessary changeable conditions that we had back in our first session of qualifying for race 1. But here this time with Dominic Baumann on the front row, fantastic performance from him as well. Mikhail Patamba will be stepping into the car when the driver change window opens, with Nico Menzel coming in clutch towards the end to produce a second place position on the grid as well, joining him on the front row. Mikael Grenier as well, after that blistering performance off the back of the spin that Al-Faisal Al-Zubair had in race 1, fought back to bring themselves into the top 4 and now see themselves third and on the second row, starting alongside current teams champions East Talent Audi, Christopher Haase, back again here in the International GT Open, and I'm sure they'll be looking for an even better day today.
Certainly will, as will Team Motor Park. Their number 17 car actually has made it to the grid today, which it didn't yesterday. A DNS for them after an engine failure at the end of qualifying. This is a look at the pole sitter, number 20, Dominic Baumann, going from strength to strength after he joined the partnership with Mikhail Patamba at the end of last year. Car Collection Motorsport debutants in the International GT Open. Nico Menzel putting that car on the front row of the grid in their sole pro-entered car. They've got 2 Pro-Am cars as well, which are starting a little bit further back down the order. Mikael Grenier, that car was spun around yesterday at the first corner and managed to fight its way back to 4th position. So let's see what they can do going from 3rd. And what looks to be a much healthier East Talent Racing Audi now, after they suffered with some brake problems yesterday. Christopher Haase putting that car on the 2nd row of the grid for the reigning team champions.
Yeah, and another team looking to go further will be Greystone GT, in a great qualifying from Lewis Proctor, who held provisional pole for quite some time as well. Will be swapping out for his father Stuart, of course hailing from the UK. From Scotland as well, to be precise.
Yep, dad and lad combination on Pro-Am pole position there as well. Confirmation on our screens, just in case anyone was wondering. Motor Park, number 17, Marcos Seibert starting at that car. Marcos Seibert back with Diego Menchaca, the dear friends from their days at Campos together in the Euroformula Open a few years ago. And they won this race this time last year. Let's see what they can do from 6th on the grid. Combination of Morten Stromsted and Thomas Eichen, the latter starting the car in 7th position. That's 2nd amongst the Pro-Am cars as well. Vincent Abril making his return to the GT Open in the spirit of race. Ferrari partnering Nicola Marinangeli. Was with the AF Corsa team in 2020. Has taken wins, finished 3rd in the championship that year. And it's a big opportunity alongside Marinangeli to be fighting up at the front of the field. Marinangeli, a race winner from last year, of course. Team Oregon hoping for a bit better luck than they had yesterday. Marzio Moretti's car suffered from a brake failure going into turn 5 yesterday. And in an attempt to avoid as many cars as possible, took his car to the inside. He only hit 1 car, and unfortunately it was his teammate. So they are hoping for a bit better luck down at the Pirate team.
Yeah, Rolf and Eichen, and the unfortunate casualty in that instance. But Polcini's behind the wheel for the opening stint here this time around. Here is a combination that were AM last year. They're Pro-Am this season, and it's Giorgio Sunaghiotto qualifying 12th here on the grid. Looking forward to yet another run here at Portimao, and starting from their position, Adamo Seika, then the highest scoring AM here in qualifying, 13th fastest get speed, celebrating 10 years here in GT3 action.
Yes, there was a rule last year that you could have a silver driver. I mean, depending on who it was sort of subject to, just approval upon request, basically. But you could have a silver driver in the AM category. You would take additional handicap for it, but now the rule is pretty hard and fast. It's bronze lineups only, and so that is what has promoted that 25 car and the 61 AF Corsa Ferrari as well. That's Jean-Claude Sada and Conrad Grünwald into the Pro-Am category. This is the head of the AM field. Christian Korzanowski starting second in his class, right behind class leader Adamo Seika in the Get Speed Mercedes against the Olymp Ferrari. Linus Stern on the grid. Fantastic field. Once again, 34 cars, 6 manufacturers, largely made up of the Mercedes, 12 of those, and 10 Ferraris, 4 Lamborghinis, 3 Porsche, 3 Audi, 2 McLaren as well. And even next time out, we'll have an additional Lamborghini as well from Leipert Motorsport. We will have an additional Mercedes from Goodyear as well, who was supposed to be debuting this weekend, but unable to join us. Let's take a look back at what happened yesterday. It was Carol Bash on pole position on the left-hand side in the Olymp Audi, going up against Fabian Schiller's Get Speed Mercedes on the right-hand side. The car collection Porsche of Alex Fontana fought his way through into third place. This was that brake failure for Marzio Moretti that pitched him into his teammate, made contact with Haase as well, caught up a few other cars. Marcin Jedlinski took over the car and had to relinquish the overall race lead in the end to Anthony Bartone, who ended up building quite the significant gap up at the front of the field. Further down, the Almanar racing car recovering after that spin, or being pushed into a spin at the first corner. The Pro-Am lead very closely fought, went right down to the last lap with Marco Polcini taking it at turn 3. But there was no stopping Anthony Bartone after he took over from Fabian Schiller, and he took a maiden win in the International GT Open Get Speed on top for the first time, and the Pro-Am leaders on the overall podium as well. So that, of course, means that Fabian Schiller and Anthony Bartone lead the championship by 3 points over Eddie Cheever and Marco Polcini, and further 2 points back to Marcin Jedlinski and Carol Bash in third. But I dare say the championship's going to have a very different outcome after this race. Race 2 about to get underway. The formation lap due to start shortly. Here is how they will line up. It is Dominic Baumann in the Automotive SBS Mercedes starting on pole position alongside Series Debutants Car Collection Motorsport Nico Menzel at the wheel of the number 15 machine. Mikhail Grenier goes from third for Almanar Racing ahead of the reigning team champions East Talent Racing. Audi Works driver Chris Haase at the wheel there. Then it is Pro-Am pole sitter Lewis Proctor for Greystone GT alongside Marcos Seibert in a much healthier Motorpark Mercedes today. Thomas Eichen second in Pro-Am for Team Motorpark alongside Vincent Abril in the Spirit of Race Ferrari going from 8th position. Luca Ludwig, double duty for him in the Racing 1 Ferrari alongside Leonardo Polcini, returning 2022 champion. Adam Coder and Giorgio Cernigiotto in the Pro-Am battle, a pair of Ferraris, both run by AF Corsa. Then it is the AM leaders, Adamo Seika in the Get Speed Mercedes, ahead of Christian Korzanowski in the Olymp Ferrari. Conrad Grünwald in 61, ahead of Anthony Bartone, yesterday's race winner, going from 16th on the grid in the Get Speed Mercedes. Marco Polcini, yesterday's Pro-Am winner, going from 17th ahead of Charles Bateman in the number 96 Motorpark car. Artem Petrov in the number 19 Lamborghini going from 19th. Paolo Roberti is 20th. Alessio De Leda in the final Oregon Lamborghini ahead of Libor Milotta in the ISR Racing Audi. Giuseppe Cipriani hoping to get another AM podium from 23rd on the grid. Marcin Jedlinski in 24th, then Bashar Mardini and Heiko Neumann, yesterday's AM race winners, alongside Timo Rumkarl, starting from 26th on the grid. Dexter Muller and Michael Blanchimont in a pair of Mercedes. Further down, Valentin Pierberg and Laurent Demer starting 29th and 30th. Andre Borodin in the second Greystone GT, McLaren 31st. Gino Forgione in 32nd. Then comes Hash in the final car collection Motorsport Porsche. Amir Naran in 34th and last place. 34-car field. Plenty of fun to be had over the course of the next 60 minutes. Of course, driver change window to come as well. 10 minutes shorter race compared to yesterday. And we will see Mercedes versus Porsche up at the front of the field.
Yeah, it will be a fascinating battle to witness, obviously, having those two come together. Mikael Grenier, I can imagine he's going to look to get off to a grand start. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled on the second row because Haase will be looking for a spirited run, I'm sure, as will Grenier. So the top four are going to be, I'm sure fisticuffs are going to be out and about. As we take a look at Mikael Petamba in the SPS Performance Garage, Yannick Mettler as well alongside him, just coaching along Dexter Muller, who is starting further down the order this time around. And we've got the combination, of course, there with
Gustav Bergström. Cool as a cucumber, as always.
Yeah, looking calm and collected. And I tell you what, if you want to succeed, hire a Swede.
Cool and car collected.
Yeah, very true. Very
true.
We're
off to a good start. Right. The cars making their way up through the top of the hill at turns 10 and 11. Nico Menzel desperately trying to get some tyre temperature. Of course, the rear-engined Porsche. Great to have Porsche back with us for a full season. Car collection fielding 3 of those cars. We had a part season 991 Porsche with line speed last year. We only saw 1 outing for the 992 with Uber Motorsport at the Spa Enduro, but now we've got 3 of them on the grid full-time. So we get to enjoy that flat 6 scream alongside the V8s and the V6s and the V10s that have already been a joy to listen to throughout the years in the International GT Open. It's the view from the number 75 ISR Audi, Libor Milotta, starting in 22nd place. Got plenty of cars in front of him, and we saw a fair bit of squabbling all the way down the field. And remember, the Almanar car got spun round as well. So survival is key in order to get a good result. Cars forming up in their 2x2 formation now. It will be Dominic Baumann on the left-hand side as we'll look at it down the straight. This is the view from Lewis Proctor, the Pro-Am pole sitter in the Greystone GT. McLaren getting right on the back of that Almanar Mercedes. But Dominic Baumann on the left-hand side as we will look at it in that white and purple Mercedes. Nico Menzel in the blue and gold Porsche alongside him from Car Collection, the white Get Speed Mercedes, and then the red and white Audi behind them. That's Christopher Haase. Keep an eye on those cars as we battle down towards turn 1 for 60 minutes of racing at the International Autodromo de Algarve. Race 2 for the International GT Open in Portimao is about to get underway. And a bit of squabbling further back already, but the lights are out now. We are racing, and a terrible start made by Nico Menzel because he has been jumped by the Almanar Mercedes and Christopher Haase's Audi already. Dominic Baumann leads into the first corner, closely followed by Mikael Grenier. Then comes Christopher Haase. Plenty of cars having to squabble over the runoff areas. Honda Lamborghini's getting a bit out of shape as round the outside comes Marcos Seibert as well, trying to get himself up into 4th place ahead of Nico Menzel. Runs out a little bit wide, does the Argentinian driver, but gets back on track ahead of the Porsche. And that car is just going backwards very, very rapidly because Lewis Proctor fancies a run up the inside into the hairpin as well. A couple of cars running wide still. And now another problem here at the hairpin as the Motorpark car comes sliding up the inside and slams into the side of the car barn by SBS Mercedes. That's Dexter Muller who got collected by that, but it doesn't seem anywhere near as bad as yesterday's incident as both cars seem to be running.
Yeah, it wasn't the easiest start there for Nico Menzel. Lewis Proctor hasn't managed to get the move done on him just yet. Menzel managing to hold on. Still at the head of the field, though, Dominic Baumann. And once again, as I said, we saw a launch there from an Oregon car. Polchini going up the inside and managing to get the move done as well. So breaking ahead of the Spirit of Race car that sits in behind, being driven by Vincent Abril, as well as they head through towards turn 13 and hightail through towards this next right as well. The 2 Olymp cars bound at the hip. Of course, we've got Marcin Jedlinski making the start for the Audi R8 LMS, as well as they now take a turn downhill to bring a close to the opening lap. It is still Dominic Baumann out in front, but Grenier and Haase, you can bet your bottom dollar, starting to cruise up and close up at the same time with Marcos Seibert in hot pursuit. Menzel doing enough, as I said before, to keep Lewis Proctor at bay. Baumann doing a great job, though, at the head of the field. field, but a grand start as well for Seabear on his return to the International GT Open, as we now see a battle unfurling, heading up in towards turn 1.
Yeah, it's the 61 of course, of Ferrari Conrad Grunwald being pressured by Luca Ludwig. That is for second in Pro-Am and 9th overall. And a dive up the inside while Ludwig was concentrating on Grunwald. Alam Koder came lunging up the inside into turn 3 and took 3rd in the Pro-Am class. So a wonderful move there for the Blau Motorsports driver, who we're now on board with. And it looks like he's having to defend against Luca Ludwig down into the hairpin, but Ludwig unable to make his way through. So that's Koder up to 10th overall, and now 3rd in the Pro-Am category. Dominic Baumann leading by not much at all over Michael Grenier, 2 Mercedes, one run by SBS, the other run by GetSpeed, leading the field, and then Chris Farser in 3rd, Marcos Seabear in 4th, Nico Menzel down to 5th. Difficult start for him, started on the front row of the grid. Then the Pro-Am pole sitter, Lewis Proctor in 6th, Leonardo Polcini up to 7th. There's another move being made here, which is the 25, Giorgio Sernichiotto on Thomas Aiken. That's for 5th in Pro-Am as well, down into turn 11. Lovely move there by Sernichiotto. And the car that was promoted up into the Pro-Am category, making up a move there on the newly entered Motorpark car, who are now present in all 3 classes. The cars string their way around that final corner, hitting the big bump in the middle of it. We saw some great slow-mo shots of that in qualifying. Baumann just extending his advantage a little bit. It's 3/4 of a second, and does the fastest lap of the race as well. To Oregon Lamborghini here, nose to tail, as Alessio Deleda and Artem Petrov are nose to tail coming down the front straight, and they have also got Adamo Seika for close company as well. And Deleda, there it is on the inside in the number 10 car. They were separated by not much at all when they went over the timing line, but it is the number 10 behind at the moment of Deleda. You can tell them apart with the yellow trimming for the number 10 machine. There's no relenting, is there? There's plenty of squabbles still going on further back.
Yeah, obviously they are investigating the race start at this point. Team managers for car 777 Audi as well being asked to come to race control. So there's going to be a discussion with Marcin Jedlinski over the getaway. So we'll wait and see how that goes.
I wonder if that's going to be about breaking the formation, because it needed to pull out before the lights were extinguished. So we'll leave that one up to the stewards.
Decisive turn certainly here at the very start of the race, just seeing obviously Alam Koder trying to keep Luca Ludwig in behind, managed to make the move in a daring way. Giorgio Sernichiotto also closing up in behind them. Great start for Leonardo Polcini, now looking to try and challenge Lewis Proctor further up as well. Ludwig getting right and close and personal in behind the Blau Motorsport car that makes its way through. There's Dominic Baumann still at the head of the field, but look at Michael Grenier, who started to tuck in deep now. 0.3 of a second is all that separates them as they now break downhill. There's Nico Menzel after the difficult start that he had. Remember, he was on the front row. He's now down to P5 as they burst down towards this long straight. But Dominic Baumann managing to find enough in the long straight here to at least embroach a gap between he and Grenier. Haase looking defiant in P3.
Yeah, what's surprising here is we've got 2 supposedly identical cars in the Mercedes AMG GT3, operated by 2 different teams that seem to have 2 different performance characteristics, because Grenier is very good in the middle sector by the looks of it, as Luca Ludwig tries to get up the inside here of the Blau Motorsports car. They're going to run side by side through turn 4. Ludwig runs out wide. Now we know from the Euro Formula race that you can't make a place up by doing that, so Ludwig's either going to have to back out here or receive a penalty, but the Blau Motorsport car able to stand its ground on the inside. Great battle happening there for 3rd in Pro-Am. Still they are side by side though, as Ludwig comes up the inside into turn number 7. Now is Koder going to try and get it back again? Oh, not quite, but we've got 3 Ferrari 296s, a line astern here, all battling for Pro-Am position. But just finish up that point about the 2 Mercedes up at the front of the field. The Baumann Mercedes seems to be much better in the 3rd sector, or maybe quicker in a straight line, because by the time they get to the end of the straight, Baumann's lead is back up to around 3/4 of a second. But we see as they came through the middle split, it was down to 4/10. See how close it is now, but let's see if Baumann can pull away on the straight again, as he has done on the last few occasions.
This is parity in setup here right in front of us, and you've got East Talent then down in third place. We did see as well that battle still brewing for that 10th spot, with Luca Ludwig currently holding on to it. Alan Kader, by far the aggressor, heading up through turns 8 as they burst down through towards turn 1 on yet another lap. 52 minutes and 55 to go as we now witness Marco Seeber coming through in towards turn 1. He's still got to try and find an 0.8 of a second gap, but a welcome return after breaching past Nico Menzel. Stuart Proctor as well, still trying to fend off the approaches from Leonardo Polcini, but it's a grand return for the Proctors here this season, and they're not too far from Menzel, who sits in P5.
1 second covers the top 3 at the moment. Wonderful lead battle happening out there at the moment between these 2 Mercedes. A third one there in 4th position as well, with the Audi of Chris Haase splitting them as it stands. And yeah, as I say, a great return for the Proctors as well. They ended last season with a podium in Barcelona in their class, currently leading the way in 6th position overall amongst the Pro-Am runners. Here we see again Michael Grenier, the former Super Trofeo champion, chasing Dominic Baumann, who's making his return to full season competition after filling in for Rhys Barr in Barcelona at the end of last year. Plenty of GT3 experience to his name over the last 12 years or so. Having his GT3 career goes all the way back to the European Championship in 2011. But haven't seen much of him in recent years since getting that call up by SBS to partner Mikel Patamba. Currently leading the way, but it is still not much that separates them at all. But you see, once again, Grenier just losing out in that 3rd and final sector. By the time they get to the timing line, the gap opens back up out again. It's now 0.7 of a second.
4 tenths now between Proctor and Menzel. Polcini now 1.4 away from Proctor. So that gap was around a second prior. It's actually lost around 4 tenths, so it's lost out a little bit, I think, over the previous lap. So you can see that already, based on what we saw over the previous lap. Proctor was better by actually just over 4 tenths. There we have it.
Just on a personal best.
Yeah, looking strong, Lewis Proctor. And I must say, qualifying went very well for the McLaren 720S. Greystone represented with 2 cars in this seasonal campaign, as they look to fight onwards and upwards through this field. There's Marco Seeber in the familiar AIX Gold livery. As we see that same livery in the Euro Formula Open Championship as well, being used by Brad Benavides, who took victory in race 2 earlier on this afternoon. As they now take the climb uphill, down again, still Seeber holding on to his position, has now broke 4 tenths, so certainly tried to close up between he and Haase as they now start to make their way through towards the final sector. Haase getting in nice and tight as they make their way down the hill and trying to close up on the Canadian Michael Grenier, who still pursues after Baumann. But I must say, Bauman's doing an exquisite job of holding on. And as I alluded to at the end of qualifying, once they get Mikel Patamba, based on what we saw back at Barcelona when he was in control of the car, his defensive skills were masterful.
On board here with Lewis Proctor, the Pro-Am leader, 6th position overall, looking at the back of Nico Menzel's Car Collection Motorsport Porsche. And it might look like a bit of a Mercedes fest up at the front of the field, but behind them you've got Audi, Porsche, McLaren, Lamborghini, Ferrari, all in the top 10. So wonderful mix of manufacturers as usual in the International GT Open. Still no one blinking just yet. If anything, Christopher Haase looks like the bigger aggressor of the top 3, as he's closer to Grenier than Grenier is to Baumann. And Chris Haase carrying the #1 on his car for the reigning teams champions, East Talent Racing, now in their 2nd year of competing on the European scene, having previously competed in the GT Masters in 2022. Here's a replay of the start. Haase right round the outside. Seeber trying to get in on that as well. And you saw it's one of the Mercedes that had a bit of a twitch that caused the Lamborghini to get scared off the road almost. We're going to see start from Menzel's point of view. Did get rather mugged, didn't he, by the Mercedes and the Audi, and then the motorpark car coming right round the outside as well. Fancied to run at Haase, but couldn't quite make it work. This is the Blau Motorsports Ferrari by the looks of it. And big squeeze there into turn 1. He was right up alongside, Polcini right around the outside. He was right alongside Luca Ludwig as well, who was sandwiched in the middle. This is Lewis Proctor's perspective of it, right up behind car collection Porsche. A bit of twitch on the exit as well for good measure, but the young Scotsman finding his way through. And then, yeah, this was the moment with the motor park car, and I can't quite make out which one it is. It's one with the yellow trim on it. So let me check my spotter's guide and see which one's got yellow on it. Do you know what? It might have been Heiko Neumann in the 65 Am entered car that had that moment. This is that Pro-Am battle we were watching a little bit earlier with Alam Coder lunging on the inside of Luca Ludwig. Ludwig has got that position back since then, but I think that the motor park car that arrived out of control at turn 5 was Heiko Neumann. If the pictures they posted are correct and it's the one with the yellow trim on it, then that is the car.
Yeah.
And would make sense as well because it's just fallen outside the top 25.
Yeah.
27th place at the moment.
Keep our eyes peeled to see where he ends up, but yes, it does look on face value that it could well be Heiko Neumann to now rejoin the battle up at the front end, and it does look like, based on what we saw at the start, obviously Menzel's issue mainly, of course, with Seabear going around the outside. He was helped along slightly by Christopher Haase because it was a slight bottleneck heading through turn 3, so Haase helping out Marcos Seabear to a certain level heading through the first sector and keeping Nico Menzel at bay as they get so tight together now. Two Mercedes in tandem between Ps1 and Ps2. Dominic Baumann still defending relentlessly. It does bode well for Michael Grenier in the second sector, but it all changes heading through sector 3. And obviously we've got the ever consistent Audi R8 LMS that will provide opportunities for a great driver such as Christopher Haase, who carries such a weight in terms of the Audi customer racing environment, has been part of the team now for such a long time, and as a pro racer who's competed across many different championships, much like Michael Grenier as well, this is truly a great fight between two great drivers. They head down in towards turns 1. Still Dominic Baumann heading the field, and I must say he hasn't skipped a beat. And there is car 24. Deary me, Andre Borodin. Of course, it would be Ollie Webb stepping in midway through. That's really unfortunate.
Where is that? Where is they?
That's heading through into sector 2 out of sector 1, maybe heading out of Tor a bit up the hill.
Grass and flowers that these parked up next to, which is interesting. Now, will we need a safety car? The yellow flag's waving at turn 7. No, Borodin's got it going again. So no need for a safety car intervention or even marshal intervention by the.
I think it might have been by here out of Tor a bit, maybe a slight oversteer mark.
Maybe. Oh yeah. That's looking a bit more familiar now, isn't it? Yeah, continuing on our way. Two of the oldest cars in the field, the Mercedes and the Audi, but also two of the most developed that are currently leading the way. Is the 6.2 litre V8 in the front of the Mercedes against the mid-engined Audi 5.2 litre V10 powering those two cars. This is on board with the Mercedes. Looks like one of the motor park cars chasing a Oregon car in front of it. Let's see which one that is. Didn't look like one of our front runners. Might have been Anthony Bartone we were just on board with there, chasing Alessio Deleda in 16th and 17th.
It is a Mercedes car, so...
Yeah, it was chasing a Lamborghini. So Anthony Bartone's not made brilliant progress so far. Currently in 17th position, and a 10-second time penalty being given to the 777 Olymp Racing Audi. That's the car that won in Pro-Am, it was second in Pro-Am yesterday. A 10-second time penalty for a jump start. So that is going to be in addition to the 5 seconds of handicap they were going to take at the pit stop anyway. So, yeah, not ideal there. As Simon Riker and Peter Riker watching Christopher Haase hound the back of these two Mercedes.
Yeah, looking to try and go back-to-back with Teams Championships this campaign, but also take the Drivers' Championship that they narrowly missed out on in the closing stages of the season. And, it all happened at Barcelona. We've got team managers for Car 61 to report to race control immediately. So there we are, a major call being made there, and looking at my list, that is of course Jean-Claude Sada and Conrad Grunwald. So they've been asked to come to race control. We now watch the car sweeping their way through. There's Leonardo Polcini for to try and gain on Lewis Proctor, but Proctor still providing a reasonable buffer as we there see Ralph and Aiken.
Oh,
comes down the inside. Grenier heading through down the inside of turn 13 with Dominic Baumann forced to give away the place, and a Mercedes swapper heading through now the Garb corner. It will be Grenier who takes the lead here at Portimao.
Well, he spent the last 15 minutes or so analysing where his car's better than the Baumann car in front of him. We said he was quick in the second sector, and he made his move right at the end of it. Now let's see if Baumann can come back at it, because we think this is the part of the track where his car seems to be a little bit better. Maybe a bit more straight line speed in that car, but no, it is 0.7 of a second now separating the top three in this race. Chris Haase unable to capitalise on Michael Grenier's move, but it is now Get Speed up at the front of the field, as they were yesterday with their number 9 car, but this time it is the Almanar number 77 that leads the way. Here we're going to see it again. Beautiful lunge. That's just textbook. Flash of the lights as well, just for fun.
Timed it perfectly.
And squeezed him out there.
And it's also invited Marcos Seibert into the mix as well, because now he's broken to within a second. It's now 9/10, and they've dragged along Nico Menzel. So it's starting to reform now. Christopher Haase also getting in deep here with Dominic Baumann. And the Audi, I think, more proficient in the corners. And we've got car 16, that's Alan Coder with a 5-second time penalty for track limit. So it goes from bad to worse for Blau Motorsport. Now got to try and resettle as now Haase has a look down the inside, heading through towards out of this middle sector, through towards sector 3, had a very opportunistic look and trying to spring a surprise attack on Dominic Baumann as they head up through towards turn 13, the scenes of where Michael Grenier would make the move, heading through the final sector. And now they've got the turn through towards this next right through Sagre, and once again Haase warning all over the back here of the Mercatiter line, favouring him through Galp. Let's see what the speed is like, what the exit's like heading through this series of bends. Haase glued to the back of the Mercedes AMG GT3, but Baumann, once again showing off that Mercedes grunt, is able to break away heading down the straight.
He's really quick in that last corner, isn't he? Quicker than the cars around him, that seems to be for sure. But Grenier's just checking out at the front of the field now. Fastest in the middle sector now, 1 second clear of Dominic Baumann and Chris Haase in second and third. I'm sure that is enough of an incentive for Chris Haase to try and usurp Baumann. Now we've got a moment here between Bartone. Alessio De Leda losing the back end of the Lamborghini, coming up towards turn 13, and Bartone getting into the back of that car. Now, yeah, was the contact a consequence, or did it was it a cause of the moment there for De Leda? Maybe need another angle of it, but he has continued on.
Nearly caught Adamo Seika as well by surprise.
Yeah, when he was rejoining.
When he did the re-entry, but...
yeah, they're still 16th and 17th, but the other way round now, so that might invoke the attention of the stewards. And oh no, speaking of the Get Speed Mercedes, the 786, Adamo Seika in his own car, Team Boss at Get Speed, has parked up at turn 4, although it did look like there was a little bit of life left in the Mercedes. Might get it going again as Haase has now drawn an overlap on Dominic Baumann. Won't go around the outside of the penultimate corner, but will line him up through these last two right-handers to try and make a move down the straight. Christopher Haase, the Audi Works driver, hunting his way through into second place. See, two very different lines, but again, that Baumann Mercedes is so quick through the last corner, and Marcos Seibert is arriving on the scene of this as well, while they've been squabbling. And now it looks like a spin for Adamo Seika.
Is that De Leda again?
I don't. Might have been right behind him. I mean, we couldn't see any
dropping
contact
through the field right now, so I'm not sure whether there's an issue. It looks like there was some contact we did see briefly, and I mentioned it actually after we saw the moment with Bartone and also De Leda as well alike. It seemed on the next lap that there was again some contact leading to the Get Speed Mercedes being parked up to the inside, and just seeing that replay, there was an Oregon car involved in that scrap, and De Leda is falling down the field. So we'll have to wait and see what's happened. We've got some side-by-side here once again, this time involving the 65 Motor Park car making its way down the hill.
Yeah, that's further down the order, isn't it? That's Heiko Neumann passing Libor Milota's number 75 ISR Audi. That's for 25th position Neumann continuing around third in AM, but of course Neumann on the recovery after having that braking moment at turn 5. Deleda's in the pits, you say?
Osaka. Adam Osaka's come in, so that's unfortunately, I think they must have an issue down at Get Speed. They're going to check it out nonetheless. There it is now.
Maybe a puncture?
Yeah, possibly.
Because they can't do their proper pit stop, not for another 2 minutes. It might just be they need to only change one corner on that Get Speed Mercedes. And as I said, the driver change window is about to open in 2 minutes' time. So I'm sure a lot of these drivers up at the front of the field will extend their stint as much as possible. And like we saw some of the cars do yesterday. So ticking off another lap, 37.5 minutes left to go. We just saw a glimpse there, Adam Osaka getting back into the race, but a lap down, car 66, that's the Pro-Am race leader, Lewis Proctor in 6th position, getting a 5-second time penalty for track limits. We're gonna have to start really keeping a close eye on these, because I feel like there are gonna be quite a few of these come the end of the race.
Without a doubt, 37 minutes to go. Incident involving cars 9 and 10. No investigation necessary.
So that's the Deleda Bartone contact we saw.
Absolutely, heading up the hill towards turn 13, where we saw Alessio Deleda having a huge swapper after coming into contact with Bartone. But no further investigation is deemed necessary by the stewards. We now rejoin this battle for first, second, and third place. Is Haase, who's right on the tail of Baumann, was testing Bauman's limits as well earlier on, but obviously Baumann with enough in the locker. Let's take a look at the replay. Now, this is involving Heiko Neumann and the 69 car as well, belonging to Michael Blanchimont, who currently sits in 25th spot. Heiko Neumann is currently ahead of that Pro-Am car. It still remains in 25th. As we now see the pirouette up the hill. Haase still on the attack.
That's still in third. As Mikael Grenier's race lead now up to 2.4 seconds.
Clearing some lap markers.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got some lap traffic to contend with as well, which is always fun and interesting. And the driver change window is now open as we hit the 24th minute in this race. On board with Nico Menzel here, looking at the back of Marcos Seibert. So it's been a difficult start for Menzel, but he's right back in the thick of it. And Marcos Seibert bringing that car in straight away by the looks of it. The indicator was on. He was moving slowly through the last corner. And yeah, Seibert is in the pit lane by the looks of it. Yes, he is.
So he's going to be handed over to Diego Menchaca at this point, going through the driver change period. Vincent Abril now up to 7th. Conrad Grunwald currently 2nd in Pro-Am. Currently in 8th as well. He'll be handing across to Jean-Claude Sada as we make our way through. Luca Ludwig then sits in 9th. Haase all over the rear once again of Dominic Baumann as they scoot over turn 4 and head down to Tora Vip. Just look at this as they now curtail downwards. Further back, we got some movements as well as Nico Menzel tries to deal with some traffic, as well as the Proctors. That's the Vermana Mercedes that is being lapped. And there is Seibert swapping out for Diego Menchaca. And in comes the Get Speed Anthony Bartone, jumping Fabian Schiller back into the car.
You see the damage on the front end of that Get Speed car after its contact with Deleda, but yeah, Fabian Schiller now climbing aboard that car, the Mercedes factory driver, his 2nd year as a factory driver for the German marque after being a junior for several years. And we know one of the fastest drivers in the field, one of a few factory drivers we have, alongside the likes of Jordan Pepper, Leonardo Polcini for Lamborghini, and of course Chris Haase at Audi. And then a few sort of manufacturer-affiliated drivers. This is the 777 car. Remember, that car's got a 10-second time penalty for jumping the start on top of its 5 seconds of handicap as well. Worth pointing out as well that the Get Speed car, the Schiller car, has 10 seconds of handicap to take as well as a result of the successes yesterday. Other cars include the 27 Spirit of Race car, that's got 10 seconds, as does the 65 Team Motor Park car, 10 seconds, and then 5 seconds for Giuseppe Cipriani as well, after finishing 2nd in AM yesterday. And still, Haase is looking at the back of this SBS Mercedes, and Menzel trying to break through on them as well, 1.1 seconds back, as Grenier continues to extend his advantage, now 4.3 seconds. He was nearly 2 seconds faster than Baumann and Haase on the previous lap. Now, whether that's that was traffic assisted as well, or whether Baumann and Haase were just too busy knocking 7 bells out of each other. Either way, they are really losing touch with that Almanar car now.
Yeah, Michael Grenier putting in a good shift, and they will be handing over to Al-Faisal Al-Zubair later on, who's also very handy behind the wheel. Dominic Baumann to be handed over to Mikael Patamba, with Christopher Haase handing over to Simon Riker. We did witness as well the changes at Get Speed number 6, Valentin Pierberg hopping out to the car with Aaron Walker now stepping in, who was teammates with Anthony Bartone last season for a few races. Now they've gone separate ways. Here's Lucas Dunner coming in for Charles Bateman, and that's the 96 Motorpark car we saw trying to get through some traffic in its own right too. Currently sat 17th as we know it. Menchaca now in the car in the sister Motorpark, now making its way through as well past its stable companion. There's Heiko Neumann and Timo Rumpfkeil swapping out as well. So Timo, after the AM success yesterday, Heiko Neumann doing a great job in his first stint as well as they swap over. Well, we're now watching Dominic Baumann still heading down the straight. Once again, the straight line speed favouring the Mercedes, with Christopher Haase in behind in the Easterlent Audi. Still can't quite find an angle. I get the feeling Sector 2 is his best bet, Chris.
Quite possibly. We know that Baumann's been very, very quick in the final corner, and as a result down the straight as well. So Haase might have to get inventive, probably fed up of looking at the back of that Mercedes now. He's been looking at the back of one for the entire race, as Menzel continues to close up on them, but they are almost like for like in terms of the lap times. Last time round, Baumann 43.6, Haase 43.7, Menzel 43.7 as well. As in comes the number 19. This is Marzio Moretti about to get on board for Artem Petrov, and I'm sure he'll be just pumping the brake pedal a little bit to make sure that it's working a little bit better than the last time he got in the car.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an issue, wasn't it? Unfortunately, coming into contact with Rolf and Eichen coming through the Tora VIP section, as we now watch as Christopher Haase once again tries to take a different line in comparison to Dominic Baumann, heading out of turns 10 and 11 through turns 12 and 13 this time. And I think Dominic Baumann might have invited him through this time. It's very close, very personal. Haase might try something through Sagre, as he does try to find that tighter exploit heading down the hill through towards Galp Corner. But again, Dominic Baumann able to defend the place. Haase getting frustrated as they burst down through this in-swinger. And indeed, once again, Baumann showing, flexing that pace, heading through turn 15 that has paid off for him, leading up through towards the final 30 minutes and 30 to go.
You ever want to see an Audi sliding away like crazy? Watching on board of Christopher Haase, because the car just looks alive when he's at the wheel of it. It shakes around like crazy, but it's fiercely, fiercely fast. It's wonderful. Oh, now we've got traffic coming into play here, coming out of the pits. That's the Marzio Moretti Lamborghini that's just been in for a stop and is now going to separate the second and third place cars, as Haase had to just back out a little bit and follow him through turn 4. You see how much ground that's cost him against Baumann. In comes Vincent Abrel, Nicola Marinangeli now getting on board the number 51 car. That was at the lower fringes of the top 10 before it came into the pits. You see Menzel's now looking at the back of the Laps Lamborghini in front of him. He's got to try and find his way through quick as possible, because blue flags will be waved. But, you know, they're only a lap down because they've completed their pit stop at this stage. They will...
and obviously, Grenier, Baumann, Haase, Menzel, even Lewis Proctor as well. As far down as Leonardo Polgini, Conrad Grunwald, Luca Ludwig. There's quite a few, in fact. In fact, Marinangeli, at the moment, is the leader in terms of those who have pitted and made their driver changes. So anyone above Marinangeli will have to box.
Well, Marinangeli's still in the pit lane.
Just gone up.
Yeah, so I think Menchaca is the leader of the cars that have stopped. So it's the top 12 who are yet to come in just yet. You can see confirmation of it now on the left-hand side of screen. And look like that was Menzel finally getting past the Lamborghini in front of him. Now, we've still got just under 5 minutes left on the driver change, but in comes the race leader. Michael Grenier has come into pit lane. Dominic Baumann retakes the lead of the race as he continues on. So it will be Al-Faisal Al-Zubair getting back on board, the Omani racer, the 77 machine, car that finished 4th yesterday. Also in has come Nico Menzel. Gustav Bergström, the Carrera Cup Scandinavian racer. The young Swede getting back on board that car. So we have Baumann, Haase, Proctor now in third, Polchini fourth, and it is just the top 10 who are yet to stop. And that includes our Pro-Am race leader, Lewis Proctor, and also our Am race leader, Christian Korzanowski, who hasn't yet come in to hand over to Stanislav Jedlinski, as Haase still continues to stare at the back of this Dominik Baumann car. Fastest lap of the race being set by, no surprise, Fabian Schiller in the number 9 Get Speed car, the one that took the victory yesterday. Another 5-second penalty being announced. This is for the Luca Ludwig car this time, as Alphonse Alain-Zuber rejoins the racetrack. And he has come out behind or ahead of Menchaca. Timing screen just updated itself right at the last second there. We'll wait for them to go through the first split, but of course Menchaca was the first car that had made its stop.
And had quite the cushion on coming into the pit lane as well, because obviously Haase and Baumann have been trying to get past all the traffic that have made their way out after their stops. And the same could be said for Marzio Moretti, who is currently back ahead of the car behind it as they now make their way through this time. And they now head through towards turn 3. Once again, Haase showing all over the back. This time Proctor has closed up with Marzio Moretti, still awaiting to do his stop in this thing. Christian Korzanowski, despite still holding on to 10th place, needs to hand over to Stanislav Jedlinski right in the latter stages of this driver change period. In comes the Blau Motorsport car as well. So some massive changes across this grid, with Marcelo Hahn stepping in for Alain Coder. Once again, another change as well. This time, Giorgio Sinegiotto stepping out with Alessandro Cosi jumping in this time around as they head up the hill. Once again, Haase still pursuing, trying to find every which way past Dominik Baumann, still not successful.
Thomas Eichen also coming into the pits for Team Motorpark in their Pro-Am car. Morten Stromstedt getting on board. Now we can now see it, the number 95 machine. Standard pit stop time for them, no additional handicap. So now it is just the top 7 who are yet to stop. And Alphonse Alain-Zuber did come out ahead of Diego Menchaca by some 8 seconds or so. So he should just hang on to the lead. Obviously, it depends what happens with Baumann and Haase, where they come out. Remember the 17 Motorpark car, that was in 4th position ahead of the Porsche, and they've both come into the pits now. Only 1 minute and 20 left on the clock, so this was their last lap that they could do it. So we should see pretty much everyone coming into the pits now. Yes, Proctor in as well. And so now we see Mikael Pitamba getting on board the pole-sitting SBS Automotive Performance. Been second in this race for quite a long time. Simon Reichert now getting on board the East Talent Audi. Stuart Proctor getting on board the Greystone GT McLaren. Dad taking over from Ladd. Rolfin Eichen getting on board the 63 as well from Leonardo Polchini. Also in Jean-Claude Seiler and Ernst Kirkmeyer as well in the 61AF Corsa Ferrari and the number 11 Racing 1 car. And now Christian Korzanowski, it doesn't say his car is in the pit lane, but I can see it in pit lane on the pictures there.
It just came in, I believe. It showed up on... Yes. It was very late to actually spring. Yeah, he was very close to the timer. Team managers as well, which is ironic, actually, because it's Adam Osaka. His car has been called to race control.
Oh, sorry, George, this is for the lead.
It is.
And the Almanar car has come out ahead, quite well clear of the SBS Mercedes and Haase's Audi, and then the Motorpark Mercedes retakes 4th position as well. So weirdly, very static in terms of the actual position change. Driver change is confirmed finish as Niccolo Marinangeli going right around the outside of the Racing 1 Ferrari and Rolfin Eichen's Lamborghini as well, or trying to as well, around the outside of turn 3. This would be for 7th or 6th position, I believe, but has to settle in behind the Lamborghini eventually. and settles back into position. And then that's Ollie Webb in the Greystone GT McLaren, I think unlapping himself because Andre Borodin had that moment earlier on in the race, didn't he? So that won't be for position, but Ollie Webb trying to get his Greystone GT Pro car back up into a competitive position. So after the driver change, Al-Faisal Al-Zubair leads Mikel Pitamba by 5.8 seconds. Simon Riker in third, who's being hounded by Diego Menchaca for the last spot on the podium in the team Motorpark Mercedes. Gustav Bergstrom fifth for Car Collection Porsche. Lewis Proctor, Stuart Proctor I should say now, holding the Pro-Am lead. Rolf Eichen at seventh. Kirkmeyer just found his way through into eighth position, although I wonder if that's a problem with the Maranello. Oh, we've got a spin here. Giuseppe Cipriani coming up against the 65 Motorpark Mercedes. It's the AM Enter car. That's that car's second contact of the afternoon. And Cipriani, who was second in AM yesterday, being spun around at turn 3. Diego Menchaca, the Mexican, about to make a move here on Simon Riker by the looks of it, has to tuck back into the slipstream. And the Audi getting a bit of a tow from the Pellin Racing Ferrari in front of it as well. And in the traffic, maybe is not the best time to be making that maneuver. But Menchaca.
Oh, here comes Riker now, just trying to clear that traffic. And the flash of the lights from Riker obviously suggesting, please make sure you give me the space so I can get around a lot easier. Obviously doesn't want to allow an opportunity for Menchaca to get past, but Menchaca's going to make his way through past the Pellin Racing as well. And a little flash again from Diego Menchaca this time around as they make their way through Tora VIP. Car number 17, the AIX liveried machine now heading up the hill out of turn 6 and through towards turn 7. Marzio Moretti now up to 19th, or up to 13th spot, I should say. Fabian Schiller 14th, Stromstead down in 15th. As now we see Samsung, the location for Simon Riker to rise up yet again. Still being pursued by Diego Menchaca. Back again in the car, hoping for a better day today, given the fact that he did not start the race in race 1 yesterday.
It's a lot better than 24 hours ago, isn't it? That is for sure. And same has to be said for the East Talent team as well. Really struggling with that car and barely broke into the top 10 at times. Looks like Rolf Eichen has gotten ahead of Marin Angeli for 6th position, but Menchaca looking right around the outside of the penultimate corner, trying to get himself some momentum down the final corner and then down the straight as well. That incident between Cipriani and Timo Brovkal has been noted by race control, as you would expect. We'll see if there's an investigation there. Menchaca continuing to flash the lights on that Mercedes, staring at the back of Simon Riker's car. And, Simon Riker, another one of the drivers who is growing in confidence in the GT3 campaign. And we saw a lot of improvements from him between the start of the season and the end of the season as well. And of course, the coaches don't come much better than Christopher Haase. And looking up the inside here is Menchaca, but Riker closing the door nicely. This is the battle for 3rd position. They are nearly 4 seconds now behind Mikel Pitamba, and lapping about 1.7 seconds slower than the top 2 at the moment, who were matched to the 10th of a second last time around. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Mikel Pitamba separated by not by much in this battle between Riker and Menchaca for 3rd. And
Kirkmeyer as well, making a move for the Pro-Am lead ahead of Proctor, Stuart Proctor, who is now down into Pro-Am 2nd, overall 9th.
Spin for Marin
Angeli. Yes, the Spirit of Race machine.
Don't put it in the gravel, Nico.
Oh dear. That could lead to a safety car. Yellow flags will be raised.
He hasn't watched what the Kessel Ferrari did at Barcelona last year, has he?
Well, Laurent Dennis got caught in the gravel as well.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
Earlier on today, so that's another issue of it. We've got team managers as well being issued to go to race control. Cars 11, I did spy. That was in Kirkmeyer. Was one of them, certainly. Yellow flag is out at turn 8, so that's coming out of Samson Corner. That is where He is lost out. Once again, though, Diego Menchaca still going for this battle for P3. No concerns in terms of full course yellow, so Menchaca is free to attack here in this particular sector because there are green flags as they head through. This next right-hander safety car is on standby, folks. We'll keep you posted as to whether there is an update, but I think they're giving, obviously, him a chance, Marin Angeli a chance to try and self-right himself.
Safety car deployed.
There we are.
So that's going to punch up the field. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair's cushy 7.2 second lead will be eradicated. Now, who is that good news for?
Good news for Pits Amber.
It could be. It was 7 tenths slower on the previous lap. Right, so this is how Marin Angeli's got there. Rounding up the lap traffic. Oh, he's just clattered into the side of the Pellin Racing Ferrari 488, having already clattered the curb on the right-hand side and spun the car. Yeah.
Just didn't have the rotation as well. The self-right himself ended up heading straight into the gravel.
And then he's pulled it forward and got himself stuck in the gravel by the looks of it as well, because I can't imagine why else we'd need a safety car. So not a great corner there for Nicola Marin Angeli. Two motor park cars look like they're going to go side by side here.
From said and done.
The pro car going ahead of the pro-am car. So that's 96, which is should be Charles Bateman at the wheel of that car. Yep, confirmation Marin Angeli's in the gravel. Yep, Lucas Dunner in 16th, Morten Stromstead in 17th. So the pro-am going ahead of the pro-am car. As you mentioned, just look at who's got their quick driver in pro-am. That this might help. Morten Stromstead in the 95. He's the bronze, isn't he? Yeah, Stromsted's the bronze. Potentially good news for the Olymp Audi, because they've got Carol Bash in their car at the moment, and he is 6th in class. He's got 3 pro cars in front of him.
He does have a penalty of 10 seconds to count.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Can they serve that in the pit lane? Or is that going to be added at the end of the race? I wonder. Double check that, hopefully. But in terms of who's got their fast driver in at the moment, Carol Bash can make good forward progress there. Jordan Pepper and Fabian Schiller right in front of him as well. They'll now join the back of the Pro-Am leaders and then the Pro field as well. They could make very good progress. 2 of the fastest drivers in the field there as well. So yeah, let's see how this plays out. But
good news for Eddie Cheever as well. I mean, obviously being in the Pro-Am fights, and obviously he's got a string of Pro-Ams that are ahead of him.
Yeah.
And given the speed of Cheever,
where is he though at the moment?
Just below, I think.
18th position. Yeah. So he's got a couple of cars between himself and the likes of Bash. But yeah, that could be good for them as well. Tiemann van der Helm as well. Yannick Mettler. So yeah, some of the quicker guys in the lower end of the Pro-Am field could benefit from this. So just over 15 minutes left to run in this race. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair leads for Almanar Racing, run by Getsby. Getsby have the potential here to double up in Portimao after winning yesterday with their sister number 9 machine. Mikhail Pitamba for SBS Automotive Performance 2nd. Simon Riker for East Talent in 3rd. Diego Menchaca for Team Motorpark in 4th. Gustav Bergstrom for Car Collection Motorsport in 5th. Then 6th is the Rolf Ineichen Oregon Lamborghini. Between himself and Bergstrom, they've got the Greystone GT McLaren of Ollie Webb. That's a lap down. Then the Pro-Am leader is Ernst Kirkmeyer in the number 11 Racing 1 Ferrari, and he's very closely followed by Jean-Claude Sarda in the 61 AF Corsa Ferrari and Stuart Proctor in the Greystone GT McLaren that is 3rd in its class. Marin Angeli back going again, so hopefully that means we can have a safety car in pretty soon. Further down, we've got Timo Rumpf-Kyle at the lead of the AM field down in 24th position overall. And then I think the next car would be Giuseppe Cipriani. No, it is Stanislav Jedlinski at the moment, then Giuseppe Cipriani in the AM field, a little bit further down the order. Bit unfortunate we were towards the end of the lap there, because it meant there wasn't enough time to actually get the restart done. So we will have another lap under safety car, but with Marin Angeli's car back going, and we could go green this lap.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too long, I don't think, as the Motorpark team watch on pensively as we look to get ourselves back together. It looks like Daft Punk there in the garage with those shiny silver helmets. Fantastic as they now make their way down this straight in towards turn 1. It's Faisal Zubair who leads the way, but don't forget the grid is going to get constrained. Opportunities for the likes of Fabian Schiller and Jordan Pepper to now break into the top 10 fully. And what about some of the other numbers as well? Mikel Pitambra, who will likely thrive in these conditions, as well as Simon Riker, will be looking to try and defend like a lion and also try and see if he can gamble on a potential promotion up into maybe P2. You'll have to fend off Diego Menchaca, though, who I'm sure will be quick at the restarts. And if you want to succeed, hire a Swede. If you're Gustav Bergström, he's in 5th place. And we'll look to gain Rolf van Eiken, who swapped in for Leonardo Polcini with a great opportunity as well. We've got the safety car confirmed coming in this lap. And we've also got opportunities further down for the AM drivers as well. Timo Rumkarl currently spearheading that instance. It could be back-to-back AM victories here at Portimao for Timo Rumkarl and Heiko Neumann, reigning AM champions, and have started 2024 in the best possible way in a pursuit for back-to-back combined 2 championships.
Safety car in this lap, car number 75 has got a 5-second time penalty, but that is for not serving the handicap correctly. So that is, just add them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th car that I've noted to have a time penalty. Only 3 of them are for track limits. Thought there'd be more than that by now, but we are going to go racing in just a little bit. Faisal Zubair just starting to let the safety car go a little bit. We should have about 11 minutes left on the clock by the time we go green again. So they're making their way up to turn 13. That is probably where Faisal Zubair will choose to put the hammer down. The multiple Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge in the champion in the Middle East. Spent a long time racing Porsche, spent the last couple of years racing Mercedes, though, as the safety car is peeling in. And Faisal Zubair will drop the hammer on that 6.2-litre naturally aspirated V8 engine and leads the field out of the final corner. We are back green racing once again for just over 11 minutes left in race number 2 in the first meeting of the 2024 International GT Open. And Ollie Webb is the aggressor, trying to unlap himself against Gustav Bergström, and side by side into turn 1. Bergström doesn't need a Pro-Am car getting involved in his fight with Diego Menchaca here, and does manage to keep the Brit at bay for now.
Yeah, not forgetting as well, Rolf van Eiken's in behind Ollie Webb right now, and obviously not in the leaderboard, but in terms of what's going on track, as Gustav Bergström makes his way over turn 4. We saw Diego Menchaca running slightly wide as well, getting caught and going down the inside, heading through Tora Vip, and a switch back in retaliation from Simon Riker in a bid to try and defend the place. That was a bold move from Menchaca, who still looks to try and rise up through turns 5, and a big crash.
No, 4 wide into...
That's Marcelo Han.
Yeah, it was Carol Bash on the extreme inside there. So that is the... is that the Viminar Mercedes? By Gesby, the Tom Jackson Mercedes, I think, was caught up there with the Blau Motorsport car. Carol Bash was the car on the inside as well. Didn't quite see what the 4th car was, but yeah, 4 wide into that corner does not quite work. And Menchaca has secured the place away from Simon Riker, so must have finished the move into turn 7 or turn 8, as he was on the right-hand side of Simon Riker, going out to the corner, having run deep into that hairpin. And you see starting to really pull away now. Gustav Bergström, next car in the queue to try and dispatch of Riker ahead of him. Coming out of the final corner, car's bouncing over that bump in the high-speed right-hander. Zubair leading by just 0.4 of a second over Mikel Pitambra, who's using that the car speed in the final sector to try and close in on Al Zubair. And we've seen some great stints from Pitamba in the past. This could be another one. As this is the Pro-Am lead, Ernst Kirkmeyer and Jean-Claude Sada with Fabian Schiller coming up there in the Pro car as well. He's split the two Pro-Am leaders and he's up into 8th position. Very nearly runs into the back of the Racing One Ferrari, and Schiller on a mission to try and get himself back up amongst the pro runners. Great news for him. Jordan Pepper hasn't quite been able to make the same progress as him. He's the Lamborghini just behind them, as well as Schiller gets up the inside into 7th position. The dispatches of the Pro-Am leader are now into 7th position overall. And the safety car has been redeployed because we've got a big mess down at turn 1. Laurent de Meus and Aaron Walker and the 65, the AM class leader, Timo Rumpfkeil, all stationary at turn 1 after what looks like a big collision down there. So big changes in terms of the AM category, because the AM leader's down there, and Aaron Walker in the Get Speed Mercedes seem to have come together. Hopefully we can see a replay of what happened. But of course that's maybe good news for Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, depending on how long this safety car is going to be out for and how long it takes to clear that traffic. Timo out of the car from the 65, or walking back to his car actually. But yeah, now it's got damage on the top left corner there.
Bizarre. How
on earth? Well, a shake of the hands anyway between himself and Aaron Walker. So. Yeah, it was. I mean, what on earth has happened here? Right, we're going to see what happened. This is the incident down at turn 5 with the Blau Motorsport car. So it gets a hit from, well, either side really, doesn't it? But it was the Vimana car, and it was the Oregon Lamborghini on the outside, which might have been Jordan Pepper, potentially. Just saying, it was the second one in the queue, and they were line astern. So I think it was
Marzio Moretti and Jordan Pepper were manacled together at their portion of the circuit, but it did seem to me that it was the Blau Motorsport car being driven by Marcello Hahn, of course, who made contact initially heading through Tora Vip, and unfortunately the Vimana car getting caught up in that as well. But yeah, truly dramatic moment, and has led actually to our AM leader, should I say, at that time, Timo Rumpfkeil. It's like a comedy of situations at that point. Incident at turn 1 involving car 65, 6 and 55 is noted. So nothing necessarily is going to be deemed illegal by the stewards in this case, but obviously it's an incident. Really
well, it might be investigated later, but
could well be.
Yeah, so it seems like it's only those 3 cars that were caught up in what happened at turn 1, or at least according to the timing screen. Anyway, hopefully we can see what happened down there, because it's very bizarre. Where the motorsport car did manage to have damage, unless it's just been hit the wrong way.
Well, Giuseppe Cipriani has profited massively.
Yeah.
Remember, he spun earlier on during the course of the race, and now he's back.
No. Was spun round. Let's be fair to Giuseppe. It wasn't really his fault.
Well, no, that's what I said. He was spun. You know, there wasn't really anything he could have done about it coming out of turn 4, or coming out of turn 3 towards turn 4. But he's now in the AM lead and has a great chance. 25th overall, is chasing Marcello Hahn. Of course, the group are now going to be all plugged together under the safety car ruling. We've got 5 minutes and just over 30 to go. And Al-Faisal Al-Zubair at the head of the field. Still got to keep Mikael Pitamba at bay. And Chaka as well in P3 after displacing Simon Riker. Great move that was. And Gustav Bergström also in the mix. Don't count out Fabian Schiller though, but we've only got a handful of laps left to really lay down on the board.
Yeah, 5 minutes left on the clock. Yeah, as I was saying, could be good news for Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, depending on how long this takes to clear up. Because, of course, it's fewer laps for him to be attacked from behind. We will go for another lap, and probably only got, at this speed, 3 laps maximum. So it's going to need to be a very quick job down there at turn 1 to clear those cars and, you know, see if we can squeeze in 1 racing lap right at the end here. We'll see. So, reminder how things are shaking out at the moment. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair leads for Almanar Racing. Mikael Pitamba, SBS Automotive Performance in second. Into the pits has come the Laurent de Meus and Jamie Stanley. So it is Stanley at the wheel of that car, sorry. has come into the pit. So he at least has got going again. So it might just be the Motor Park Mercedes and the Get Speed Mercedes, Varun Walker, that need to be removed from the scene of the accident. But yes, so Patamba second, Diego Menchaca now in third position for Team Motor Park. It's Mercedes 1, 2, and 3 as it stands, with Simon Riker in fourth for East Talent Racing, Gustav Bergström in fifth for Car Collection, Rolf van Eycken, the lead Oregon Lamborghini, in sixth position. Then Fabian Schiller has made his way up into seventh position and is now on the back of the pro leaders. Ernst Kirkmeyer and Jean-Claude Sada are the top two in Pro-Am in 8th and 9th for Racing 1 and A, of course, respectively. Marzo Moretti completing the top 10 overall. Third in Pro-Am is Alessandro Cosi, but he's only just in front of Carol Bash in the Olymp Racing Audi, but we think that car's got an additional 10 seconds to take if they can't take it in the pit stop. And then, yes, as we mentioned, Giuseppe Cipriani now into the lead of the AM Championship or category in 25th place overall. 3 minutes left on the clock, and well, really, unless we get a sign saying safety cars in this lap, that will likely be the end of the story, unfortunately.
Well, it's going to be very tight towards the end. Obviously, Al-Faisal Al-Zubair still has to bring it from A to B, so we'll have to wait and see whether he can do that. Obviously, with the timer ticking to 0, you'll have familiar fond memories, though, of oh, we've got confirmation the race will finish under the safety car, all cars to take the flag without overtakes. So that has been deemed by race control as the decision. So Al-Faisal Al-Zubair will be deemed your race winner here at Portimao in race 2 of the 2024 season campaign. Mikel Pitamba finishing second and on the overall podium, with Diego Menchaca in third.
That's a shame, but obviously, yeah, safety is paramount, and the incident down at turn 1 needs a little bit longer than what we have left to get this race back going again. So it will be back-to-back victories for Get Speed, 2 of their separate cars, but for the team, it has been a pretty perfect weekend for them in the International GT Open. Of course, we'll have the lead in the team standings as well. Very different outfit to outlook to what we had yesterday, with 2 Pro-Am cars on the overall podium, of course, and the celebrations have already begun at Get Speed by the looks of it. We'll keep it tame until that car actually gets across the line. You don't want to jinx it and then have the engine suddenly expire on the last lap. That would be really cruel, wouldn't it? But we are now on the last lap.
Yeah, safety car taking them around once again, and obviously this is a grand result. Obviously having Mikel Grenier back in the fold in the International GT Open harbours some decent stats as well throughout the course of his campaign. I mean, historically, multi-time race winner, has won 4 races historically. This will be his 5th, putting him, funny enough, what was Al-Faisal Al-Zubair's 5th race win, he's now got 6, so he carries more than Mikel Grenier, who now moves up to join the likes of Benji Hites, as well as Mikel Mack and Nick Moss, Joe Osborne, and Michele Rugolo, who, of course, takes part in this championship this season. Fair play to Al-Faisal Al-Zubair. This is win number 6 for him, puts him on par with Alessandro Pierguidi and Saraiva as well in number 6.
2019 vice champion in GT Open, of course, was Mikel Grenier, making his return to the championship this weekend, and it is going to be with a victory. And for Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, it'll be a 2nd win in Portimao in as many years with his Almanar team. Last year it was with Fabian Schiller. This year it's with Mikel Grenier. Just kind of prove really that, you know, he wasn't just winning races because he had a Mercedes factory driver alongside him. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair is incredibly rapid, as he's proven with his many exploits in Porsches. But yeah, now with Mikel Grenier alongside him as well, this is a great combination. And now, of course, we won't be seeing them throughout the full season. And of course, it's another part-time campaign for Almanar, and we'll see them out at Spa and in Barcelona as well. And, we'll have new additions in Hockenheim. GT Open returning to Hockenheim in 2 weeks' time, of course, with additional cars from Lightpert Motorsport, Good Speed Racing as well. But for here and for now, in Portimao, in race number 2, it is all about Almanar Racing, Al Faisal, Al Zubair, and Michael Grenier, who are about to take victory. I'm sure Michael Pitamba will be rueing not having the opportunity to try and attack more. But the safety car will peel in, and Al Zubair will lead them to the line. It is back-to-back victories for Get Speed in Portimao. It's the number 9 crew yesterday, number 77, and Almanar Racing today for Michael Grenier and Al Faisal Al Zubair, who are victorious ahead of SBS Automotive Performance's Michael Pitamba. Completing the podium, Diego Menchaca for Team Motorpark, making up for the disappointment of not being able to start yesterday's race. Third position for them ahead of Simon Reichert, Gustav Bergström. Ernst Kirkmeyer will take the Pro-Am win for Racing 1 and Jean-Claude Sarda. Now, hang on a second. We've forgotten about the penalties, haven't we? Because I think both those cars, well, not ones that I managed to take down anyway, but our timing screen says otherwise. Pro-Am win now going to the 25 of Alessandro Cosi, Eddie Cheever in second and Jim Plar in third. So that's really, wow, if you had a time penalty under that race, you lost out big time because it was a safety car finish. Yeah, let's go through the results then. Back-to-back victories for Get Speed. It's Al Faisal Al Zubair and Michael Grenier on top. SBS in second and Team Motorpark in third. Simon Riker and Christopher Haase in fourth, head of Gustav Bergström and Nico Menzel in fifth. Rolf van Eycken and Leonardo Polcini in sixth. Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller settling for seventh. Marzio Moretti and Artem Petrov in eighth, ahead of Alessio De Leda and Jordan Pepper. Pro-Am win going to Alessandro Cosi and Giorgio Cernicchiotto in 10th position, ahead of Lucas Dunner, Charles Bateman. Marco Polcini and Eddie Cheever second in Pro-Am, ahead of Michael Blanchemont and Jim Plar. Then comes Dexter Muller and Yannick Medler, Mardini and Valderham in 15th, Martin Stromsted and Thomas Eichen in 16th, Gino Forgione and Michael Ruglio in 17th, the Proctors in 18th, Hash and Alex Fontana in 19th, and Jean-Claude Sarda and Conrad Grunewald in 20th, and win for Giuseppe Cipriani ahead of the ISR Racing pairing, and then our Pro-Am winners on the road going all the way down to 23rd, ahead of Marcin Jedlinski and Karol Bash. Stanislav Jedlinski and Christian Korsanovsky taking second in Am, ahead of Han and Coder, Borodin and Webb. Kiki Saknana and Adamo Seika will be on the podium in the Am category. Further down, we had retirements for the Team Motorpark number 65 crew, Aaron Walker, Tom Jackson, and Nicolo Marinangeli. In terms of the championship, this is what it's done. Al Faisal Al Zubair and Michael Grenier lead Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller by just 4 points, with Dominic Baumann and Michael Pitamba a further 4 behind. Then our Pro-Am leaders just behind them, but it is all being set up very nicely once again for another tight championship battle.
Yeah, brilliant. And scenes of celebration on part of Michael Grenier, the Almanar Racing team, as well as Al Faisal Al Zubair, who brought it home. Did what was necessary. I'm sure Adam Osaka is thrilled with that result as well. Get Speed have been dominant across the weekend so far, and no doubt Dominic Baumann and Michael Pitamba can also savour a podium visit. Of course, fond memories from Barcelona the prior season, where Pitamba would defend the place. It was Dominic Baumann's return as well, as all the cars get set up in Parc Fermé. There is Al Faisal Al Zubair, no doubt happy, delighted, thrilled with everything that he has managed to achieve. And credit as well going to Alessandro Cosi and Giorgio Cernicchiotto taking that Pro-Am victory. Of course, have also held successes in the past where they have taken on the Golf 12 Hours, as well as many other things that they have been a part of, and certainly been very active in the world of GT racing. Eddie Cheever just in second place, yet another grandiose podium in the Pro-Am category for Eddie Cheever and his teammate Marco Polcini. They took victory in yesterday's race, second this time as well, so big points in their title race, with Jim Plar coming in third as well in that one. Giuseppe Cipriani, two-time champion historically in the International GT Open, back again on top in the Am category, and Stanislav Jedlinski finishing second.
Yeah, great stuff in all three classes as usual. Celebrations happening for the 25 crew. Of course, Giorgio Senegiotto was on the podium at Sebring 12 hours earlier this year, wasn't he?
Very active racer.
Yeah, getting to celebrate once again on the podium here. Faisal Al-Zubair there, making his way, I think, towards the podium. Hopefully Alfredo's down there with a microphone, and we'll grab him and Mikhail for a chat. Look at that. That is some car park, isn't it? And Mercedes 1, 2, and 3 in this race. And 3 different teams as well. Get Speed, SBS, Motor Park, all represented out there on the podium. So we will have what looks like another close championship fight. Third position for Team Motorparks, Diego Menchaca and Marcos Seabear after the disappointment of not starting yesterday's race. Podium for Dominic Baumann and Mikhail Pitamba aboard the SBS Automotive Performance Mercedes, proving that they are a combination to be reckoned with. But it was victory for Faisal Al-Zubair and Mikhail Grenier. Back-to-back victories for Get Speed this weekend. They're downstairs with Alfredo.
Winners of race 2 here in Portugal, and welcome back to both. You won here last year, so Portugal is good for you.
Yeah, really starting to enjoy this track. I think as a package this weekend, we had it all. Mick did an amazing job in all of his sessions. The team did amazing, and I just had to bring it back home in the end.
Michael, it's a couple of years we haven't seen you in the
pit lane. But, hopefully the podium cameras will be working when they get going again. Shame we can't hear from Mikhail down there, but we will wait for them to head up onto the podium. And we were talking about this, George. Get Speed have got a mighty lineup, but of course, that Almanar pairing, they're not going to be with us for every race, so they're going to be more reliant on the team that won yesterday. Let's take a look back at the highlights for the last 60 minutes of racing. It was SBS's Dominic Baumann who led the way in the early stages, and the Almanar car getting up into second place after a very difficult start for Nico Menzel that saw Christopher Harsert going right round the outside, and Marcos Seabear trying to follow suit as well. Plenty of cars having to take to the escape road at turn 1, which was to the surprise of absolutely nobody, as the 34 cars tried to file their way through the first few corners in the Algarve. Great lunge move here by Mikhail Grenier on Dominic Baumann to take the lead of the race after 20 minutes. Baumann getting a little squeezed out there, but managed to hold on to second place. This moment for Alessio De Leda and Anthony Bartone went into the back of him, but both cars did manage to survive and keep moving forward. Almanar Racing coming in for their stop, handing over to Faisal Al-Zubair. Giuseppe Cipriani, despite getting pitched around here at turn 3, did go on to take the AM win. And then we had the safety car out for this moment with Nicolo Marinangeli against the Pellin Racing Ferrari. He then got his car stuck in the gravel track, and then we had more drama down at turn 5 with the Blau Motorsport car getting caught up down at turn 5. Then we had a move for third position. Menchaca getting down the inside on Simon Riker, running out a bit wide. But he did, in fact, manage to secure the position and completed the podium. We did end under safety car, unfortunately. We had an incident down at turn 1, and so it did mean it was back-to-back victories for Get Speed this weekend. This time, the 77 crew, Faisal Al-Zubair and Mikhail Grenier on top. And now we will have the podium shortly. Must be a nightmare trying to organise, what is it, 20-odd drivers down there?
I can imagine it being very busy, but what better way for Get Speed to celebrate 10 years as a team, yet to even win a title in the International GT Open, but have always been on the precipice of doing some great things in this series, and they have done certainly that here at Portimao. As we heard from Faisal Al-Zubair, starting to like this track, and for good reason. He's won here over the last 2 seasons we have been here. in the International GT Open. Mikel Pitamba as well, representing a different Mercedes team, SPS Performance, on the second spot on the grid, with Dominic Baumann, who marks his return to full-time racing here this year after being away due to family matters, family concerns, but great to have him back, and he looks in vibrant form. But credit to Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Michael Grenier.
So we'll have the Almanar Racing and Get Speed representative on the podium there as well. And it will be the Omani national anthem for Almanar Racing. Our congratulations to Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Michael Grenier, our new championship leaders. Although, as we said, not with us throughout the entire season. So slightly odd looking the championship going into Hockenheim. Of course, we will be there returning to Hockenheim in 2 weeks' time. But in the meantime, yeah, Diego Menchaca, very happy to be back on the podium. Very grateful to the work that Team Motorpark has done to get that car ready. And look at it, he's more prepared than the Euro Formula guys were earlier. He's already unbottling the champagne.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one that Menchaca is going to savour. They've had a tough start to the weekend.
Yeah.
And to come back with the podium, I'm sure means everything. Michelin representatives, of course, presenting the trophies and prizes. Of course, we just saw the P2 trophies being given to Mikel Pitamba and Dominic Baumann, but the victors, in this case, Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Michael Grenier, celebrating with the Get Speed team back on top yet again. And of course, the Get Speed representative will receive the team's trophy and a loud cheer. 10 years worth of celebrations there, you'd fathom.
That's sensational, isn't it? Nürburgring taxi service team, but a team that has just had so much success in the world of GT racing, not just at the ring, but also across Europe. And now they can properly celebrate, can't they? Because
no fears of using the overalls.
Exactly, they don't need them tomorrow.
Yeah.
They just need to worry about the smell. Because I don't know about you, but sweaty drivers and champagne often it's not a great mix.
Some concoction.
I have some real memories of press conferences with drivers who've just come back from the podium and would do anything for some Febreze.
Walk around the paddock post podium, and you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It does start to smell. But there we have it. Pro-Am podium comes next, and Alessandro Cosi and Giorgio Sernaghiotto are going to be celebrating this time around. We're just taking a look as well at Marco Polcini, Eddie Cheever, once again on the podium. Something they're going to be used to, I think, a lot this season, especially coming off the back of being reigning champions of the Pro-Am class, and Olymp Racing not able to tag back against them, of course, they being our 2022 champions.
Yep, so Giorgio Sernaghiotto and Alessandro Cosi, one of the entries that was moved from Pro-Am, that was moved from Am to Pro-Am for this year. And, they were 5th in the championship last year, having won 2 races. One of them was here. And so they've managed to double up on that for this year, but now in Pro-Am. And the kids joining them on the podium as well. That's really great to see as well. Alessandro's family up there on the podium. And of course, Eddie Cheever and Marco Polcini, reigning Pro-Am champions, victors yesterday, 2nd today. And now the Scuderia Villorba Corsa Mercedes of Jim Plant and Michael Blanchimont joining them on the podium. The pair that won the GT4 European Series Am Championship in 2021. They've been racing together for quite a few years now. The two French drivers up on the podium.
What a sight that is. Yeah, I mean, Giorgio Sinigiotto is a fantastic driver, even in his early days in 2003 and 2000. Was an Italian Formula 4 champion in 2001 with 6 wins, and he won it in 2000 as well with 6 wins. But since then has obviously taken to GT3 like a duck to water. Ferrari Challenge Italy, where he took 7 wins as champion back in 2009, and took part in the Rome 24-hour as well in 2014, where he came second as runner-up and has competed at Le Mans 24 hours as well. Taking part in LMP2 competition consistently, as well as LMP3 alike.
Marco was out of there like a bullet from a gun.
Fantastic. Alessandro Cosi and Giorgio Sinigiotto are going to savour every bit of this because, of course, it's such a huge result. But incoming now are AM drivers, and Victor's here this time, Giuseppe Cipriani. And do you know what? It's lovely to see this. Stanislav Chidlinski, who has been very much the Iron Man of the series in many ways. I still hark back to my first season in commentary in the International GT Open at Estoril in our opening race. And he unfortunately was involved in that incident heading through the first few corners. And it was my first line in commentary. And unfortunately, it was a huge smash. But he's been with this series now for such a long time, and is such a fantastic driver to see in the paddock and meet. A lot of experience as well behind the wheel alongside Christian Korzanowski, and he gets to celebrate second place on the AM podium.
I believe he's the oldest driver in the field as well. But
what an achievement.
For the 786 crew, Kiki Saknana and Adam Osaka, the Get Speed team boss, it's a third place finish of the weekend in the AM category. Second for Christian Korzanowski and Stanislav Jedlinski up on the podium for them. And the victor in class, it is the vice champion in the AM category from last year, Giuseppe Cipriani, after finishing second yesterday. And his first win after winning the both races in Barcelona in his class at the end of last year. He is back on the top step of the podium. The Michelin representative handing out the trophies. El Baron Rampante, Giuseppe Cipriani's own racing team that he established to compete in Formula Renault 3.5 in AutoGP as well. The name which comes from the Italo Calvino book, The Baron in the Trees. And the champagne being sprayed. That is all the action from the opening meeting of the season in Portimao for the International GT Open. We will see you in 2 weeks' time in Hockenheim.